One of the most notorious Catholic leaders in today's modern times, who recently passed away, Pope Benedict, once stated that humility is the way to win souls. Now, when he said this, he spoke figuratively. He was talking more specifically about how a person's ability to stay level headed is the best way to influence them to believing whatever it is that you're advocating for. And this was given in a time of lots of social stratification, specifically the AIDS pandemic, in which many people refuse to even believe healthcare professionals because of their own fear of both the AIDS virus and Big Pharma, simply because their methods were simply too pushy. Very similarly, we can take the same quote by Pope Benedict and look at today's modern influencers and how they are so popular and good at spreading the message in a way that gets people on board and active. However, in recent times, the media has called to light a controversy involving the popular social influencer and climate activist Greta Thunberg, as she was stormed away, carried by 4 police officers after raiding a deteriorating city in Germany while protesting a coal mine being built. So, understanding this, a conflict of interest has come into the minds of many people, whether or not her fame has helped or hurt her integrity or legitimacy for her fight against climate and climate change. Therefore, today we are posed with the question whether or not Greta Thunberg's fame is helping or harming her cause in the fight against climate change. And although she has done lots of good with all of her works since she was a young girl, we have to see that sometimes even the hardest workers can be their own downfall, and answer with no. Or yes, I should say. Greta Thunberg's fame has indeed harmed some of her legitimacy within her fight towards ending climate change and global warming. And we have to look at this in 3 key areas of analysis. Number 1, by looking at an introspective look into her past. Number 2, her present and the current state of what she is doing in the times that we can see, and looking towards how her influence is likely going to be affecting the generations of children and influencers fighting against climate change in the future. So, starting off with, when looking at Greta Thunberg's past, we have to understand that even though people were relishing at how smart this young girl was to try to take a stand, not only for her family but her community, and try to lead the world against climate change to live a healthier, cleaner life, not only for herself but her parents, her family, and the globe, people were taken aback. They thought, how could this young girl be so passionate about something, yet have so little experience on this earth, yet still be so selfless to help others? Well, although we'd like to say that she was heartless and selfless within her fight against climate change, her motives may not have been so altruistic as we had thought, because as we had seen based on freebeacon.com, they stated back in February 1st of 2022, that Greta Thunberg's parents themselves had a role to play in her climate activism, and for a long time, not only were they encouraging it, but they were helping her endeavors to try to get into the limelight. First, we have to look at who her parents actually were and how they influenced her fight towards climate change. Now, because of this, doing some research back into the theatrical respects of her native country, we see that both Greta's mother and father were both featured on Eurovision in 2009, climbing all the way up to getting good in theater. Because of that, they already had lots of money in setting precedent in the social circles revolving Greta's latter coming fame and popularity. They already had their own connections built, and because of that, they used their works in society to help thrust Greta into the limelight so that she could help propel her passions for climate activism. However, because of this, we've seen that lots of money has been poured out on her parents' part for Greta to go into the limelight, which has called a lot of question into whether or not this was actually her speaking candidly in the beginning, or whether or not it was something more her parents did to continue on their legacy through their child. Now, looking in her past, we see that Greta has been very active from her youth to try to encourage her parents to live a greener life. However, after going and making herself very notable in her early teenage years, we have to look secondly to the present as to what she has done currently. Well, as of recently, The Guardian has told us on January 20th of 2022, recently in fact, that as of just a few days ago, Greta Thunberg has been caught being carried out by 4 police officers after storming a burning city that was being demolished for the sake of making a coal mine in Germany. Now, although this may seem very altruistic, Greta was laughing when being carried out, almost as though she didn't have any concern in the world about the seriousness of the situation. Many people lost their homes, and animals were dying, land was being cut down, and she was having an enjoyable time, laughing as she was being carried away in the arms of police officers. Now, although this does not seem to be the worst thing in the world, if she was to take her job seriously, then moments after, people were questioning whether or not she would be taking selfies and signing autographs with the police officers that were supposedly detaining her. With that being the case, we see that Greta's motives have come into question. Now, because of this, although this doesn't make her seem any less legitimate when it comes to her advocacy for climate change, it does make people wonder whether or not she actually did take her job seriously to begin with, or what her purpose was for being there. Was it more for the socialite aspect, or was it to stop the city from being demolished? And very finally, the third point of analysis is, what does her influence mean for the future of climate activism? We've seen that she's done many good things in her time. She has been a phenomenal leader in trying to fight against climate change, and she has done many things to influence another young generation of thinkers, movers, and shakers within not only her country but around the world to be innovative and take a stand against wrong. However, just because she has done lots of good in her youth does not necessarily mean that her actions should any less be ignored. Therefore, to answer today's question as to whether or not Greta Thunberg's fame has indeed harmed or helped her cause, we have to say that yes, unfortunately, her fame has harmed her cause, and we can see this in 3 key areas of analysis. So going forward, although we have the highest hopes for Greta, we hope that the future of climate change is secure, as well as the future for Greta Thunberg's career. Thank you.